All right, House of Payne fans. Now, yeah, this week's episode really left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths because it it's just impossible to like Miranda, even though she looks fine as hell. It's like her attitude is what makes her unattractive. And the more she went on about, the whole Christian not being able to process everything from the divorce to why mommy and daddy don't love each other anymore or live in the same house or daddy getting married so quickly, the more she talked and whined about it, the more it seemed clear, especially the scene towards the end of the episode where she came over to the loft and just made it known that I don't want him in the wedding, and there'll be plenty of opportunity for pictures. And it's not just about you, Calvin. We need to move baby steps, like you talking about having Christian and Laura have a connection and this and that. No. And it's clear that it's all about her. And I mean, after watching this episode or this week's episode of Sisters, the same thing is true of not Calvin, but Karen and Zach, and the fact that he's moved on with Fatima. And I feel like the argument could be made that Karen's feelings seem more understandable than Miranda, but in both scenarios it's clear that the women just don't want to move on because the men they threw away, who were once quote unquote bums not living up to their full potential, have now leveled up and met somebody better for them. Calvin with Laura, Zach with Fatima. And I don't know exactly what I should title this video. Should Christian participate in Calvin's wedding, or will Miranda crash the wedding? Because even if, I feel like the obvious scenario that most people feel Tyler Perry is going to do is have Miranda and Calvin get back together. But it would be awful if that happened, given everything, every stunt, every temper tantrum, every cry session with Miss Ella. Miranda doesn't deserve it, especially because she walked out on Calvin. And kind of like the Zach and Karen thing, I'm not saying Calvin wasn't foul when he was with Miranda, but she was the one that walked away. She was the one that called divorce. Now she's the one who in season 9 was all about wanting him back, and now she's just being petty as hell. So before really getting into it further, please take a moment to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon and select all. Just be aware, our kind of entertainment will be sending you notifications, not the haves and the have-nots review anymore because of the channel name update. Man, I'm sorry, this subject is something else. Follow me on social media, links are in the description below. And just thank you all so much. I've noticed the numbers on the channel going back up. More people have been thumbs upping videos showing they like them. The subscriber count, we're getting closer to 190,000. The subscriber watch time has been increasing. We're getting steadily into the 30s, and the non-subscriber watch time has been decreasing into the 60s. So hopefully we'll be at 50% very soon. But with that being said, guys, man, oh man, we know the show is going to have another season after this one. It's already been filmed. It's already, ready to go. But as much as I love how Tyler Perry allows actors to do their thing, have opportunities to, work, make money, that kind of stuff, I'm really wondering what Miranda's purpose in the show is now. Because even if she was on good terms with Calvin, it wouldn't really work because there has to be some sort of drama for this series to really work, as opposed to episodic, like, Malik not wanting to vote. The difference between Black Lives Matter and police brutality versus selective rage when it comes to injustice. Hell, even with Jasmine last season, the arc with Caleb, her boyfriend, that was a few episodes. But other than that, Calvin and Miranda is the main storyline of the series. But I just feel like by expanding their story, it's making Miranda look worse and worse with each episode. She's the one saying Laura stole my family. Calvin and Laura, you're backstabbers. Calvin, you chose to fall in love with Laura, and that hurt me more than anything else. See, the speech she made when she was over at the loft in the last episode, that literally proves this is all about Miranda. She can disguise it with the facade that it's about Christian not being able to process this and Christian asking all these questions about the divorce and whatnot. My question is, has Calvin not had these discussions with Christian? Has he not sat down and said, hey, little man, look, me and mommy aren't in love anymore. We still love you very much. It's just that we're not in the same house anymore. And, you're going to be going this place, that place. It just seems like, and trustingly, there's a situation in my family where my cousin, his baby mama literally said that he isn't the father of their daughter, she's just a spitting image of him. But she grew up being told that that's not your father. So Miss Ella, and I will admit, I think I came down a bit too hard on Ella in my episode review, but for the most part, she's always been like Team Miranda, but now in the last episode, rewatching the scene, she was fair. But I think CJ literally said what needed to be said, which was, Miranda, Laura can't steal what isn't yours. You say she stole the family, but that's not true at all. You're the one who gave it up. So I think that when it comes to Miranda, Miss Ella was right to say, you need to stop making it where Christian feels like he has to choose his parents, because based off everything that we've seen thus far in the series, Miranda is literally doing just that. Remember when Tracy was the worst baby mama ever? Yeah, she's lost that title to Miranda, because she's literally making it seem like Calvin is doing the worst thing in the world, when that's actually her fault, because she's the one that walked out on him. And seriously, I'm trying to wrap my mind around the fact that this woman is literally using the one tether that makes her inclusion to the Payne family even realistic, because it's been said time and time again, what the hell is Miranda even still doing at Miss Ella's house all the time? Unless it has something to do with Christian, she shouldn't be involved with the Payne family at all. So I think her kind of, manipulating the situation, I'm surprised Miss Ella hasn't put her foot down and said, Miranda, if you don't get in line, then I'm going to have to stop asking you to come over to the house, unless, you're dropping off Christian or something, because you shouldn't be treating my son this way. I mean, it just seems like Ella, while I will admit she was a bit more fair in the last episode than I originally gave her credit for, she should really be at bat for Calvin a bit more. Maybe that, I really would love to see why, I really would have loved to see Curtis in the situation, because that's his grandson and this is his son, getting married to somebody new. So I feel like it's, you could argue he would clearly be on Calvin's side over Miranda, but having another voice of reason there wouldn't have been a bad thing. And I mean, it's just the fact that Miranda hasn't really grown up much. I mean, look at how petty she's been acting. I mean, from the family game night, yeah, I can understand her feeling hurt that she wasn't invited, but did she have to stay? I think Ella should have said, hey, not tonight. It's not really a good night. We got Calvin and Laura here. We don't want to make things awkward. It's just that Ella rarely takes into, and I'm not trying to make this into an attack Ella video, but, like she told Calvin at the family game night, family is family. Well, that's true to some extent, but at the same time, you just should, I feel like Ella should read the situation like Miranda should have read the room when she came over. You just didn't take Calvin's feelings into consideration at all. Then on top of that, the way Miranda was acting, from rubbing her history with Calvin all in Laura's face, making her feel uncomfortable. And, Calvin didn't buy it at first, but then as the night went on, it became clear that Miranda, was still involved with Calvin emotionally, like when Calvin's like, okay, my turn, wish me luck, baby. And then Miranda and Laura both said, yes, baby. I think he was referring to me. And from there, Laura and Calvin have been showing themselves to be far more mature than Miranda. Laura extended an olive branch because she honestly did not know that Miranda was, soon to be the divorcee of Calvin. It's just like on Sisters, where Karen feels some kind of way about Fatima. I can't believe you really didn't know, huh? No, he never said your name. It's just like in the same vein of Calvin not being mentioned by Laura or Miranda. It's like, oh yeah, I'm seeing some guy. Oh yeah, well, my ex-husband was awful. So now it's like you want to play the blame game and you're the one that got divorced. I mean, I don't feel anything bad against Laura. My only problem with Laura was in like her first introduction episode where she literally walked out on Calvin while meeting his parents because she found out about him and Miranda, and then for some reason decided to go back to the parents' house of the guy you just walked out on to talk with his mother to get advice on what to do. And it's like, if I were Miss Ella, it's like, no, the way you walked out on my son last night, I have nothing to say to you. So it's kind of weird. But then you move into the last episode where she walked in. It's like, I'm working on trying to forgive you, but I'm not going to apologize for how I feel. Okay, she's entitled to not having to justify why she feels the way she does. But as Calvin said, this hostility between us isn't good for anybody. And like, Calvin is the one who's at least trying to maintain peace. But like he said, this is a big day for me, and I want my son to be a part of it. So when she's like, this isn't all about you, clearly it's not. Because Calvin said, it's a big day for me, but I want my son involved in it, meaning that he wants his son to be a part of his big day as well as the rest of his family. Miranda just can't wrap her mind around that. I'm in the position of, at the moment, I think that Miranda will probably not have Christian there at all. But then when the wedding comes up, she's going to ruin it some way, somehow. Now, when I say ruin, the first scenario is she'll show up, but only at the last second, because I feel like there's going to be some drama the day of the wedding where Calvin's going to be upset that his son's not there, and Laura is going to understand his pain. And I'm praying to God the other scenario I'm thinking of doesn't happen, and Laura leaves Calvin at the altar, and then him and Miranda get back together. I'm thinking that in the best case scenario, Miranda has a change of heart, comes to the wedding with Christian and says, go up there with your daddy. And then they get married. Laura and Calvin with their son there. But even then, I'll feel like she stepped on their moment because, well, to be honest, if I remember correctly, didn't CJ and Janine do something similar at Calvin and Miranda's, wedding in the backyard where they rushed in for a double wedding to, get married again? And this was after Janine was pregnant, right? So hopefully nothing steps on Laura and Calvin's moment. But if there was anybody to step on it, it would be Miranda. And like I said, even if it was with the best of intentions to agree to let their son be a part of the wedding, for her to wait until like the last freaking minute and, Calvin will be distraught leading up to his wedding because his son won't be a part of it. No mention of Calvin Jr. It would just be awful. So I think that Miranda, just not even show up to the wedding. And Miss Ella ain't going to really say anything about it, even though it's like, Ma, can you get rid of her? Well, she's family's family. Like, hell no, Ella. This is his day. Just no. Curtis and Floyd will be happy to kick her out or somebody give her the boot. But I really hope Miranda doesn't ruin their day. But this is the House of Payne series and drama. It's going to happen inevitably. Either Miranda's going to ruin it by showing up, or Laura's just going to say, you know what, I can't do this. But I feel like both Calvin and Laura have extended olive branches out there. But Miranda is the one who's saying Christian can't process this. You're a liar. You're a backstabber. You're selfish. You're the only one who's acting selfish because everybody around you is trying to compromise, and you're the one who's being unreasonable about everything. So that's all I got to say. Like I said, I'm very conflicted on what I have to title this video. Should Christian be allowed to be a part of the wedding, or will Miranda ruin Calvin's wedding day? I don't know. I just hoped that if Tyler Perry, he better not write them together, because then the same thing we know is going to happen with Zach and Karen on Sisters. But I don't know, whatever. So thanks so much for tuning in, guys. I really appreciate the support on the channel. Make sure you like and subscribe, as I mentioned earlier. And if you want to donate, feel free to do so on PayPal or Cash App.